So hi everyone, welcome to Najma Tarot. So in today's reading, we are going to be looking at what a particular dream that you had while you were asleep might have been trying to tell you. So if any of you had a particularly interesting dream recently, it could have been something good, it could have been something that unsettled you, that troubled you, anything really, any dream that you would like to know about, whether even if it's not very recent, that's fine. You may be interested in this tarot card reading because we are going to be looking at what messages your subconscious mind may have been trying to convey to you through this dream. So we have 3 piles today, and we have the pink pile. These are paper clips. So we have the pink pile here, which is pile number 1, green pile, which is pile number 2, and the blue pile, which is pile number 3. Timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll get started with pile 1. Okay, group 1, we have your cards here. Now, the main card that you chose, the one that was on the initial screen, the one that was below the paperclip, was the Knight of Wands in reverse. And I have pulled out a few other cards to try and explain what exactly your dream was trying to convey to you. So at the outset, what I would like to say is that it is possible that in the past you got into a certain relationship, right? It was most likely a romantic relationship. If you identify as a man, this could have this would be with a woman, your girlfriend, wife, partner, whatever it may be. If you were a woman, it could be with another woman maybe, but I mean, I don't read into gender identities or anything on this channel. It's mainly energies that I look at, so it doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but those are the possible, those are some of the more probable relationships that seem to be coming out here. But in any case, you got into a relationship with the best of intentions, and it kind of probably flowed along really well initially, and you kind of felt that you were meant for each other and things. And I'm talking about your real life, by the way, not your dream, but in your real life, you probably got into a relationship that you were very hopeful about initially. The other person also probably really cared about you, and there was great harmony and hope in this relationship when it began. But maybe with the passage of time, you started feeling a little bit, I want to say suffocated, but that is a strong word. So you may have started to feel slightly suffocated in this relationship. I'm not sure whether this suffocation comes necessarily from how the other person is behaving. It seems more likely that it's just the general situation that now exists because of this relationship. Say, the common example being maybe you got married to someone and now you have a house with them and you have domestic responsibilities with them, or you have certain obligations towards them, etc. But it could be a different situation as well. Please modify these messages as per your actual situation. This is just an example. Maybe this relationship progressed to a stage where you now kind of started feeling trapped in this situation. Why are you feeling trapped? It's because there is something that you wanted to do in your life that was not related to this relationship, nothing to do with love or relationships at all. Probably it was just some sort of career plan or some general way of life that you wanted to adopt, that involved you being, very high energy and being kind of in your masculine energy. As I mean, masculine energy is not necessarily related to being or identifying as a man, but something that required you to be all very fiery and passionate and energetic. And maybe at the time that you got into this relationship, you may have embodied all of that energy, but now, because of the situation that you're currently in your life, you are not being able to embody that energy or take that energy to any sort of logical conclusion. This dream may have, not necessarily, but it could have represented you walking away from this connection. Like, a strange dream where you are telling your girlfriend to, I don't know, get lost, or you are yourself walking out of your house, or you're maybe signing divorce sheets or divorce papers, or talking with your partner about breaking up, or something has happened as a result of which you have to break up, or something like that. So, not to be disturbed by the dream. Dreams are just a representation of our thoughts. They are not to be taken literally. I mean, we are doing this tarot card reading to understand the deeper meaning of this dream, not to make ourselves panic or anything like that. So this dream may have signified that kind of walking away, and the only thing that walking away idea was trying to convey to you was this sense of dissatisfaction that you're obviously feeling right now, as far as your entire life is concerned, because of this relationship. Now, you may be feeling that there is something that you could be manifesting, that could be creating in your life, that would have led you to very, very high levels of success. From the Knight of Wands, you could have become the King of Wands. These are your thoughts. And somewhere, because of this relationship, that progress got stunted, or a lot that could have happened in your life has not happened, and so on and so forth. Yet there is a part of you that is finding it extremely difficult to even talk about this. See, we have the Page of Swords and the Ace of Wands and the Seven of Wands in reverse, all of which seems to signify to me a lack of an ability to, or facing difficulty in really expressing this dissatisfaction that you are feeling. It is probably because you don't want to hurt your partner. I don't think there is any other reason that really is important here. Maybe you have other people involved in the situation, like your children, parents, friends, whatever. But I think mainly you're scared of hurting your partner and, kind of, in your view, doing a disservice to this beautiful relationship, or relationship that was once beautiful in your life. There is a part of you that really wants to, come out and say that, this is not working for me. I really want to do something else. I am not being able to live anywhere close to my best life. In fact, I'm maybe feeling drained, and there's too much energy from me that's going into this relationship, and I have nothing else to give to this other thing that I want to do. I have no energy, no interest, no enthusiasm, no fire, no passion, nothing left in me to give to whatever I aim to do. But you're not being able to say this in your waking life, and hence this dream is trying to tell you from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind that, this is a problem and it is clearly hurting you, right? You feel like you're kind of trapped in this situation without any solution. There's nobody who can come and save you. Maybe in your fantasies you kind of hope that God will save you, or some higher power will come in and do something. Fate will do something that will allow you to break away from this relationship in whatever way you need to in order to accomplish your goals. Breakaway doesn't necessarily mean ending the relationship, but whatever, changing the dynamic in your relationship, or even ending the relationship as per the needs of this situation. You may be kind of hoping that somebody else from outside is going to come in and save you, and you're really not being able to do this yourself. But there really is a deep, deep desire for transformation in this situation, and in your life, more importantly, that is coming through. There is something in this relationship that is really making you feel like this is enough. You're just not being able to do this anymore. You really, really need to now head off in a completely different direction, close this chapter, metamorphose yourself into something completely different. Now, I did pull 2 cards for advice from whatever higher forces that one believes in, whatever you believe in, or just maybe from your own higher self. The advice is that it's the way it's coming to me is just in a one line statement, which is that don't commit what is known as the sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy, if you Google it, you will find that it's basically when you continue to invest in a situation that you don't want to invest in, just because you've already invested a lot in it in the past. And in this case, it might mean that you feel that there's so much that has been done. A good romantic relationship has come into your life. You've nurtured it, the other person has nurtured it, so much has been already put into this whole thing, and now you're afraid of walking away from all of this long. I get the feeling that it was a very, very intense connection as well. That could be holding you back from, or at least the advice is that that's really holding you back from, don't let that hold you back from deciding to walk away from this situation. The other piece of advice is that there may be some sort of opportunity here that you might not be looking at, and that may also be because you are looking at this situation as if it's kind of a zero-sum game, where either your relationship is to stay or your passion and fire has to be cultivated. It may not be that way. There may be an option that you've not really considered as of now. It may be that something else is there that you can do to harness your potential, or maybe some sort of arrangement that you can come into with your partner, which does not necessarily involve breaking up, but it also doesn't involve you continuing the way you are continuing, that maybe you're not thinking of. So with these 2 pieces of advice, I'd encourage you to reflect on how you can apply them to your situation. So first piece of advice being, don't let what has already been invested in this situation prevent you from taking a clear, objective perspective on what needs to be done now. And second piece of advice being that there may be some arrangement that you can come to if you just allow yourself to think about it a little bit clearly, without guilt tripping yourself into, why am I thinking this way, it's wrong for me to think, and so on and so forth. Then that could allow you not to have to enter into a fight or anything like that with your partner, but also make sure that your energies are channeled in the right way. So that is what your reading would say. The last thing that I really would want to emphasize is that, see, if a transformation is needed in our life, it has to be done at some point, right? If you don't do it now, the resentment of not doing it is going to come back to you at a later point in life. That's all. It's not like it's ever going to go away. By closing your eyes to the, literally and metaphorically, by closing your eyes to the fact that there is a deep dissatisfaction within you, there is a blocked energy, trapped energy within you, you're not going to be able to end this problem, or kind of, it's not like you're going to be able to destroy this problem, is what's coming to me, but you get the point. There is something that has to be done about this. I would encourage you to take the need for transformation seriously. And the other thing that I would also like to say is that, I think you're guilt tripping yourself a lot. I get that you care about your partner, even if the situation might be such that you are, wondering if this has been right for you and so on. I know that deep down in your heart, you really still do care very, very much about your partner. And maybe those feelings are reciprocated as well. That's for you to make an assessment on. But needing a transformation in your life does not mean that you're a bad person. It also does not mean that you don't love your partner. The two things can coexist. You can love your partner and care about them and respect them and have their best interests at heart, and also want yourself to do whatever it is that you want to do. So the two things are, it's not like, I really, really want to encourage you not to berate yourself for thinking this way. Don't keep suppressing and repressing these thoughts just because you feel that it's wrong to think this way. It is not wrong to think this way. In fact, I mean, there are so many people in this world who shy away from doing what their heart wants them to do for years and years and years, and maybe for entire lifetimes. You seem to have something that you are passionate about, and there is a fire within you to do it, right? That so many people lack that fire, as a result of which they spend their whole lives feeling resentful and kind of unhappy and dissatisfied and so on and so forth. You need to harness this fire. It's there in you for a reason. It wouldn't have been there in your mental makeup if it wasn't supposed to be contributing something to this world. It is important and it's necessary and it's absolutely permissible for you to follow your path in whatever way you want to. And following this path will lead you to feeling satisfied. This feeling of unhappiness and dissatisfaction, it has its source in this problem, and it will go away if you tackle this problem. All right. So I hope this reading has provided some insight into your situation and hopefully also provided you some guidance with regard to it. Please let me know if it was helpful, even if it was not helpful, in the comments, and I will see you in your in our next reading. Take care, please. So hi pile 2, all of you who chose the green paper clip, this is your reading. So the pile, so the card that you chose that was under the green clip was the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, and I have pulled out a few other cards to get into a little bit more depth of what your dream was trying to tell you, right? Now here there is a situation where you were kind of coasting along in a particular aspect of your life, and I'm tempted to say that it was that we are talking about your relationships here, although it may not necessarily, it's either your relationships or it's something else in your life where your heart is really involved, something that you really care about emotionally, not just from a rational perspective, not just to make money out of it and that sort of thing, right? So it's some matter of the heart, whether it's a love relationship or it's something else, something that you love. So in that aspect of your life, you were coasting along, you were fine, you were doing whatever you needed to do, you were satisfied, and kind of all was well, it was stable. Maybe you weren't happy, maybe you weren't ecstatic with joy every time you met this person or did this thing or whatever it was, went about your daily business, but you were fine, you were okay, all was kind of just about okay. Then in your, and I did specify that for pile 1 as well, I am talking about your real life at the moment, not the dream. Then someone, maybe a woman or somebody that whose judgment you really trust in, somebody who you see as intelligent, even if not necessarily sympathetic, someone kind of came and told you something, right? Said something to you. Now it could have been that in this dream this person came and said something to you, or it may have happened in your real life. Whatever it is, the person came and said something to you in a somewhat harsh manner, in a somewhat unkind manner, but the intention here wasn't necessarily to hurt you, it was just because maybe that's just their way of speaking. You know how sometimes in our society, the earlier generations or our elders are sometimes used to a very different kind of communication compared, style of communication compared to younger people, right? Younger people nowadays are starting to kind of be more mindful about how their words are impacting the feelings of others, etc. But sometimes our elders say things much more directly, not because they want to hurt us, but that's just the way they have heard their parents speak, and that's how their how the majority of their life has taught them to express things. It could have been something like this. Someone came and said something to you about this situation in your life that put you in a state of doubt, of quandary. You started doubting this kind of idyllic life that you had, and you started thinking, oh God, I mean, is there something really wrong with this? Should I change something about this? Is this not okay? You kind of went into a panic, is what I'm seeing. Now, your panic was so great that to some extent you may have even wished that this person was lying to you. You know, that you wish that this person was just trying to irritate you or just to annoy you. This person just randomly said something to hurt you. You wish that, but that is not true. Maybe in your dream you're thinking, or something happens that you feel that this person who told you something in real life was lying to you. That could have been the dream, not necessarily, but just one example that came into my mind. And yeah, so there is this new piece of information that you've received, whether in your dream or otherwise, that has kind of started threatening the peace that you were enjoying in this particular aspect of your life. Now, what this dream is trying to tell you is that there is a fear within you of moving away from this situation. Okay? There is a fear of leaving behind this situation, even if there is some rational reason for you to leave it. So the dream seems to be assuming that the dream seems to be working with the idea that, okay, something is actually going wrong in this aspect. The easiest example I can think of is maybe you were in a relationship, someone told you that there's something wrong in this relationship, or this person doesn't have the right intentions towards you or something. And you are scared in your conscious life of moving away from this. And that's pretty natural, to be honest. You're scared of destabilizing the foundations that existed in this aspect of your life. You're very scared of making a new start. You're scared of being abandoned by this person or this situation. And you're also very nostalgic and very attached to the good times that you have had in the past. Now, all of this is natural human emotions, and I sympathize with your feelings. But the advice here, so this is what the dream was trying to convey to you. The dream has conveyed to you that there is a change that clearly needs to be made, not doing anything hastily. There is a change in this aspect of your life that you need to consider in light of some new information that you may have received, or some new thought that you may have had. But you're very, very scared of making this change, right? You're scared of making this change because you're scared of instability, you're scared of being abandoned, you're scared of moving away from something that you love and that you have loved over a period of time. But the advice here is that you're taking an overly pessimistic view of this situation. You may be thinking that moving away from this situation is going to be the end of everything and I'm going to lose everything that I've ever had. The only time when we think we are going to lose something and we feel bad about it is because we haven't had anything better than that. And already right in the beginning we were saying that even though you were content with how your life was going in this particular aspect, you weren't necessarily happy, right? There weren't happiness, there was an absence of joy. You may have been peaceful, but that's not the same thing as being happy. You are being advised here that don't be so pessimistic, that it is possible that if you decide to make a fresh start, if you kind of go back to the drawing board, you may have a real shot at happiness as opposed to just stability. And it is likely that this will happen if you do consider at least making a bold move away from this particular person or this situation. The further advice is, yes, in the same vein, you are being overly kind of self-protective in this situation. You're not really seeing the beautiful possibilities that can happen for you in the future. You're kind of clinging to the past and everything that is already known, rather than considering the possibility that things could get better in the future, right? It's not just A that you deserve, it's also A plus something else, which is what you're going to get if you decide to make a break from this situation in whatever form that might be applicable to your specific context. So this is what the cards seem to be saying. What I will emphasize the most from this reading is this idea of pessimism. Now, I understand this fully. It's very it's when life has not been very kind to you for a long time, and you get something and you're reasonably okay with it. I mean, everything is more or less fine. There's no real reason for you to move away, and then someone comes and tells you and kind of pokes you that no, you should not do this, or something else is, you need to pursue something else. It can be very destabilizing. I mean, it's with so much effort you made something happen, and then now you're being told to abandon it or to move in a different direction. And so it is very natural for you to feel scared, but it's important to realize that maybe because of the past traumas that you've had, or the past bad relationships that you've had, you're kind of assuming wrongly that everything that you could possibly have after this or instead of this is going to be bad, is going to be less than this, or you're not going to be as happy as you were in this situation. I think it's time for you to rip off the band-aid and take a bold step into the future, and you will then realize that, and somewhere in the future you will feel that, okay, this situation that I left at that time was nothing compared to the happiness and the real true joy that I have now. And the other thing that I'd also like to mention is that, when things are just right, there will inevitably come a point in your life where you feel a little bit of regret as to what may have happened and could have happened if you had not settled for just right and tried to make something better than just right happen, right? Even if just right is something that you can adjust to right now or settle for right now, sometime in the future, and probably earlier than later, you will feel the need to move ahead, or to move in a different direction, or you will feel at least a sense of sadness and unfulfillment that, this is it, this is okay, but something has been missing. That realization will affect you at some point or the other. So it is important for you to maybe do some amount of positive visualization, or read some positive stories where second attempts or third attempts or n number of attempts have been successful for people, and people who did not have success in a particular thing initially had more success in it later. May help you to think along these lines. So yes, these are the reflections for you from this dream that you had. Please take care of yourself, and I will see you in our next reading. Hi, pile number 3. If you chose the blue paper clip, this is your reading. Let's get started. Okay, so the card that you chose that was below the blue clip in the initial screen was the 3 of Pentacles in reverse, and I have drawn a few other cards to gain a little bit more insight into what your dream was trying to tell you. Now, there is a very simple message that your dream was trying to tell you, but it may be simple, but it may not be very easy for your heart to understand and to work upon, but we are going to be looking at it in this reading so that you can with more ease recover from this problem. So the dream was trying to tell you that there is an old heartbreak that you have not yet processed fully, that is still affecting you very badly. Now, the situation that I'm getting here that may have happened in your life at some point is that maybe you really cared about someone, you loved another person with all your heart, soul, mind, body, everything. But that person who you considered your life partner, or who you hoped would be your life partner, who you thought was your soulmate, ended up with somebody else, right? And you felt left out in the cold, you felt so sad, so heartbroken, so absolutely in despair that it just shattered you. It just completely broke your heart, and I can feel the sadness that you would have gone through. It is not easy for anybody to bear. This person that you loved may have either been somebody that you knew from childhood. It could have been a childhood friend who you loved for many years, maybe from the time that you were children. Or it could have been somebody that you loved with a very pure heart, a lot of innocence, lot of purity. It was you felt it was true real love, and it may have been true love. Nobody's denying that. But after this heartbreaking incident took place where they walked away with somebody else, you probably forced yourself to get on with your life without really processing the sadness that this brought and healing from it, right? The person that you have become now, who is a sensible person, or who is kind of moving on with their life in the best way that they can, is not yet healed from this intense sadness. And don't blame yourself for this. It can take an entire lifetime, multiple lifetimes, for people to recover from something that really broke their heart. So it's in no way is this trying to tell you that you should have moved on or anything like that. The dream is trying to convey to you that this sadness is still there. It's still very much there in your heart, and it is needing your attention. The dream itself could have in some way involved some sort of accident. It obviously does not mean that anybody in this situation is getting into anything like that. So please don't worry about, or don't panic about anything that you may have seen in the dream. Dreams are just a symbolic representation of our subconscious thoughts, and sometimes the symbols are very difficult for our conscious mind to interpret, which is why we are doing this tarot reading, to gain some insight into what this dream was trying to tell you. But the accident could well just have indicated that there needs to be some sort of recognition of this deep trauma that you went through, right? It's like an accident happened and people just neglected it. People just did not pay attention to it. Nobody helped the people who were injured. That sort of thing. The person, of course, in this case being you. Now, this obviously was not an easy dream to have seen, and I have some personal experience of dealing with nightmares, and it's really not easy. So my heartfelt empathy for you. But let's come to the advice, right? I've pulled a few cards to tell us what advice higher forces, whatever it is that you might believe in, God, your higher self, the universe, whatever it is, has for you in this situation that was represented to you in this dream. Now, there are three pieces of advice mainly that I'm getting for you. Actually 4, but let's just start with the first one. The first one, pile 3, is you have options, okay? You have plenty of people who would love to get to know you and to build a romantic relationship with you, who will not break your heart, who are going to be there for you and willingly, and they'll consider it an honor and a privilege to be with you. That person who was not meant for you, right? But there are plenty of other people that would give anything for even a chance to get to know you. For whatever reason, pile 3, you are in high demand, okay? And if you're not out and about generally in life, you will be in high demand once you do put yourself out there. Second piece of advice is that I'm not sure if you are hi pile number 3. If you chose the blue paper clip, this is your reading. Let's get started. Okay, so the card that you chose that was below the blue clip in the initial screen was the 3 of Pentacles in reverse, and I have drawn a few other cards to gain a little bit more insight into what your dream was trying to tell you. Now, there is a very simple message that your dream was trying to tell you, but it may be simple, but it may not be very easy for your heart to understand and to work upon. But we are going to be looking at it in this reading so that you can, with more ease, recover from this problem. So the dream was trying to tell you that there is an old heartbreak that you have not yet processed fully, that is still affecting you very badly. Now, the situation that I'm getting here that may have happened in your life at some point is that maybe you really cared about someone, you loved another person with all your heart, soul, mind, body, everything. But that person who you considered your life partner, or who you hoped would be your life partner, who you thought was your soulmate, ended up with somebody else, right? And you felt left out in the cold. You felt so sad, so heartbroken, so absolutely in despair that it just shattered you. It just completely broke your heart, and I can feel the sadness that you would have gone through. It is not easy for anybody to bear. This person that you loved may have either been somebody that you knew from childhood. It could have been a childhood friend who you loved for many years, maybe from the time that you were children. Or it could have been somebody that you loved with a very pure heart, a lot of innocence, lot of purity. It was, you felt it was true, real love, and it may have been true love. No, nobody's denying that. But after this heartbreaking incident took place, where they walked away with somebody else, you probably forced yourself to get on with your life without really processing the sadness that this brought and healing from it, right? The person that you have become now, who is a sensible person, or who is kind of moving on with their life in the best way that they can, is not yet healed from this intense sadness. And don't blame yourself for this. It can take an entire lifetime, multiple lifetimes, for people to recover from something that really broke their heart. So it's in no way is this trying to tell you that you should have moved on or anything like that. The dream is trying to convey to you that this sadness is still there. It's still very much there in your heart, and it is needing your attention. The dream itself could have in some way involved some sort of accident. It obviously does not mean that anybody in this situation is getting into anything like that. So please don't worry about, or don't panic about anything that you may have seen in the dream. Dreams are just a symbolic representation of our subconscious thoughts, and sometimes the symbols are very difficult for our conscious mind to interpret, which is why we are doing this tarot reading, to gain some insight into what this dream was trying to tell you. But the accident could well just have indicated that there needs to be some sort of recognition of this deep trauma that you went through, right? It's like an accident happened and people just neglected it. People just did not pay attention to it. Nobody helped the people who were injured. That sort of thing. The person, of course, in this case being you. Now, this obviously was not an easy dream to have seen, and I have some personal experience of like dealing with nightmares, and it's really not easy. So my heartfelt empathy for you. But let's come to the advice, right? I've pulled a few cards to tell us what advice higher forces, whatever it is that you might believe in, God, your higher self, the universe, whatever it is, has for you in this situation that was represented to you in this dream. Now, there are three pieces of advice mainly that I'm getting for you. Actually, four, but let's just start with the first one. The first one, pile 3, is you have options, okay? You have plenty of people who would love to get to know you and to build a romantic relationship with you, who will not break your heart, who are going to be there for you and willingly, and they'll consider it an honor and a privilege to be with you. That person who was not meant for you, right? But there are plenty of other people that would give anything for even a chance to get to know you. For whatever reason, pile 3, you are in high demand, okay? And if you're not out and about generally in life, you will be in high demand once you do put yourself out there. Second piece of advice is that I'm not sure if you are... that is pretty much what the cards say about this dream. I will see you in our next reading, and please do take good care of yourself. Bye.